Hey, what's up you guys? This is Michael with OffGrid Unlimited. Today we're actually out fishing. I'm topwater fishing right now with a topwater duck. So it kind of brought me on a common question that we sometimes get, and I see a lot of times with newer fishermen or people trying to get into it, or people that have been fishing a while, they just don't know the difference because they're always just used to getting one kind of line. So basically the topic of today, it's going to be try to make it as short as possible. It's what is the difference between the different types of lines? So you have three different types of fishing line. You have braid, you have monofilament, and you have fluorocarbon, and they each can be used at different times for better advantages. For example, if I'm topwater fishing like I am now, I would want to use braid for the most part because braid is stronger for its actual diameter compared to monofilament and fluorocarbon. Braid has zero stretch, so when I'm dragging things through the weeds, I don't want any stretch to where the line could snap, or over time, over time it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So braid is really good at doing that. Also, braid actually floats on top of the water. So when you're topwater fishing, obviously you're not going to be fishing beneath the surface of the water, you'll be on top. So actually braid is a lot easier to manage, especially when you're going over moss and lily pads and stuff. You don't have to worry about it sinking down and getting stuck and other stuff like that. But that's the pros of braid. The cons is you need scissors to cut it. A lot of people use scissors now, but the good old days of just using your teeth. It can't be done with braid. Any kind of rocks, braid does not like. So if, for example, if I'm trying to fish a crankbait with braid and I'm hitting against rocks, that braid's not going to last very long, because once it hits one of those rocks, it will fray and it will snap almost immediately. Another potential disadvantage is that braid floats. So if you're using let's say like a 3 to 6 foot deep diving, or not deep diving, but a 3 to 6 foot shallow diving crankbait, and you use braid, that bait's no longer going to dive 3 to 6 foot. It's actually going to be closer to 2 to 3, maybe 2 to 4 foot, because that braid's floating on the water. Therefore, it doesn't sink like monofilament does, and it's a little bit harder. You don't get the same benefits out of a crankbait when you're using braid. It's actually a different, kind of different story. As far as monofilament goes, that's the most common used one. Monofilament's really nice, just generally overall. The only, I guess, disadvantages you can say with monofilament is it stretches. It's thicker than braid, so if you want if you want a lot of line on a spool, like if you're catfishing, for example, and you want as much line as you possibly can get, but you want it really strong, you'll need more mono to do so. Mono's, it stretches. I already said it stretches a lot, but other than that, mono's pretty good. It's almost practically invisible underneath the water, so when you're if you're doing higher level bass fishing, or you don't want the fish to see the line, then mono is a good choice over braid, because braid is very easy to see. Which brings us into the last one, which is fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is a little bit more stretchy than monofilament, but is also practically invisible underwater. Generally, people use fluorocarbon for finesse fishing with worms or lizards, generally spawn time stuff, and you don't want to see, you don't want the fish to see the line at all. Fluorocarbon is also a little bit more expensive than mono, so there's also a price difference there. But generally, fluorocarbon and mono, there's very small details that's the difference. But if you're fishing and you're making money at a tournament, obviously those details in the end matter. So I hope that helped clear some things up. Basically, what I would go with as a general rule of thumb is monofilament. And the only time I really use braid is when I'm catfishing and I got a smaller reel. If I'm channel catfishing in a smaller creek or river, and I'll need stronger line because there's a lot of shrubs and stuff. Generally, I'll use braid. I usually stay away from braid though, because any kind of backlashes, tangle ups, anything is extremely hard to deal with when you have braid, because it's so tight and it slips a lot. Basically what slipping is like on the spool, braid will actually dig into the spool, into its previous line a lot. So it's a lot, but braid is basically a lot higher it needs a lot higher management than the others. But if it was me, I would try my best to stick with the monofilaments, the monofilament line. It's the most common, and I guess it's the best bang for your buck unless you're looking to specialize. As far as like if you have a top water reel that's only dedicated to top water, I would throw braid on it. Like if you're pulling buzz baits, frogs, baby duck baits like this, braid's really good. But if you're like an average Joe fisherman and you go out all the time, I would just get one big spool of monofilament for whatever it's rated for your reel and your other reels, and I would try to stick with that as best as you can, because mono works for everything. But anyways, generally, I hope that was a good little clear up video for y'all. It's not really a ton of information, but kind of explaining it's a little bit hard sometimes. But hopefully that helps y'all, the difference between monofilament, braid, and fluorocarbon. And other than that, please rate, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and please like this video. The like's always big, and it's very helpful, So yeah, guys, we'll see you on the next one later on.